Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? It is 3:32 a.m. and I was driving around listening to my audiobook, Swamp Santa by Jana DeLeon, book 16 in the Misfortune series. I have a cough drop in my mouth. I know it drives people crazy when I do that, but I've been talking a lot today, and I was like, I think I need a cough drop before I do my vlog so that I can talk for a while. I don't know how long this vlog's going to be. I want to listen to a little bit more of my audiobook before I go to bed, and I'm kind of tired. Seems like it's been like a really long day, although I didn't really do a whole lot today. I got up, and we went to brunch again today, a Cafe Shoe, and we had the exact same thing and sat in the exact same spot, but we had a different server today. There's only like 4 servers that work in there anymore when we're in there, so it's always like one of the same 4. We love all of them. They're all so sweet, so nice. But so I had the gluten-free waffle with fruit and potatoes and butter and syrup. It was delicious. Oh, Alex did have turkey chili today with croutons. It was really cold in Indiana. It would have been a good day for chili tonight. And then my hood of this coat is like acting all weird. Do I have this coat inside? I don't have this coat inside out. It's like, it's driving me nuts. Anyway, maybe it's because I have it zipped too tight. And then we came home, and I slept in way late today because last night I drove around until like almost 6:30 in the morning listening to Broken Girls by Simone St. James. It was so good, you guys. She like does such a fantastic job mixing like a ghost story with like a mystery. So there's like a true story, like a real mystery that's going on that somebody's trying to figure out, which in this case is like this journalist whose sister was killed like 20 years before, and so she's trying to find out like who killed her sister. She like the guy that killed her sister isn't he's been convicted, but then all this other stuff comes out, and so that like that mystery is like one of them. It's like 3 mysteries, and this girl goes, they find her, this girl goes missing in 1950. They don't ever know what happened to her. That's another mystery. And then it's about this like school that was a boarding school, and then has like been abandoned for years. It's like a school for like troubled girls whose like parents couldn't handle them or whatever. And it's kind of like this bond between these 4 girls that were in one room together, and it's like it goes back and forth between like 1950, I think I talked about it on here already, 2014, and I thought it went back and then also to 1994, but it doesn't. It just goes back and forth between 1950 and 2014. It goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's so well done. And then there's like, so when the girls are at this boarding school, there's this like ghost legend about this Mary Hand that like lives on the property, and she was buried there, and because her parents left her out in the cold, and she had a baby, and her baby is like buried in the garden. It's like this rumor, but this whole ghost story is like a backdrop to the mystery that this journalist whose sister was killed 20 years before, and she has a boyfriend that's a police officer. They're trying to like figure out. This is not a cozy mystery, not at all. This is like eerie. And Simone St. James wrote The Sundown Motel, which was very, very similar, but it was about a hotel just off the like highway, like, you know, one of those like L-shaped kind of hotels that like, but from like the 50s that you like check into like, you know, the lobby, and then it has like a row of rooms. And like I think maybe like, I think in that book, there's like like 2 stories of just like rooms crossed. But and it flashes back and forth between like the 70s and today, and this girl's trying to like figure out what happened, and like her aunt went missing or something. I can't remember what it was, but that book was really, really good. Somebody she knew went missing like 20 years before or 40 years before or something. She's trying to like figure 30 years or whatever it was. She's trying to figure out what happened. So it's very much that, like, where they go back and forth between the years. And she's a fantastic writer. So I stayed up super late finishing that. And then today I finished the Fangirl manga that I was reading, and it's like book 1, and it just ends like in the middle of like, well, I guess what this guy's doing that adapted the story, he's taking the book Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, because it said you're reading like book 1 of 4 at the end of it. It was like this, it was supposed to look like it was part of the book, like an email, but because the whole, like a lot of the book takes place like her writing for this like online fan fiction thing. So it was supposed to look like part of that, but it said like you're reading like book 1, you just read book 1 of 4. So I guess there's going to be like 4 of them. But it just kind of stops in the middle of the story. I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 5 out of 5. I thought the illustrations were fantastic. I'm like real obsessed with reading these graphic novels now, and especially like I really like the books that have been turned into graphic novels. So I started reading today The Diary of Anne Frank, but actually it's the illustrated version. So it's like a graphic novel. It's this beautiful hardback version of it. Do you know, I don't know that I've ever read The Diary of Anne Frank all the way through. I don't know that I ever have. I don't know that. I remember when I was in like junior high, I think we had to read like Night by Elie Wiesel. Is that Wiesel? Is that how you pronounce his name? I don't know. But I feel like there was like one grade that like everybody read The Diary of Anne Frank, and my class didn't for some reason. I don't know why. I have my seat heater on. It is like so hot on my butt right now. So I started that tonight. It's beautiful. I mean, the illustrations are just unbelievable. I think it's done by the same person that did the Anne of Green Gables. I don't know, but I should look. Or To Kill a Mockingbird. Because I have Anne of Green Gables, To Kill a Mockingbird, A Wrinkle in Time. And then I have a ton of graphic novels that I've been buying recently. Well, then tonight, I got on Amazon this afternoon, and I bought 3 more graphic novels, because I'm just really enjoying, like, when I'm sitting there for like 10 or 15 minutes, just like reading, like, because you can just kind of tear through them like real quickly, and it's just kind of fun to read them. I never thought I would say that. I've never really enjoyed the graphic novels. You know, Stranger Things, the TV show on Netflix, there's like a whole series of graphic novels with Stranger Things. Kind of like they look very much like the same ones for The Walking Dead, which I bought the first 4 of those. That Lumberjanes book that I bought, I was going through looking for The Diary of Anne Frank, but it's called Anne Frank's Diary, this adaptation. I don't know why they changed it, but anyway. Isn't it the original called The Diary of Anne Frank? Well, this one's called the Anne Frank's Diary or something. I don't know, it's different than the original, but I found that I had another copy. I have the first 2 Lumberjanes. I already had them. I had ordered them like years ago or something. Probably when I heard this other booktuber talking about it. And then somebody like retweeted this booktuber. I don't know what his name's Angus, I think. He's from like the UK. And somebody retweeted something of his on Twitter. And so it was like a video of his where his like partner like picks, he's like blindfolded and he has to like guess these books. So I went and I looked at his channel and we read like a lot of the same things. So I went in and I watched like some of his TBRs, and although it was interesting, he had actually done a buddy reads with Robbie Reads. But I will tell you what was interesting was, like, the books that he liked were books that I did not love. And books that he didn't like were books that I really liked. Like, he said he didn't like The Guest List, and that was one of my top books last year. So I watched some of his videos, and I bought 3 new books. And they were books that had been on my wish list anyway, but I bought those. But I wanted some new recommendations from somebody else. I do that with Booktube a lot. And then, while I was uploading my vlog, I had seen this ad come up for this, like, video. I don't even know if it was a real video. But it was like 5 things women shouldn't do over 50. It was actually even more specific than that. It was like 5 mistakes women make over 50 to look younger or something like that. And I was like, what is this? Let me get this out of the way. So, I had a lot to say about that. I don't know, just like... And then I went in and I looked, and there were like all these videos on YouTube that were... I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it, honestly. That were like, women over 30 shouldn't wear these things. Women over 40 shouldn't wear these things. 5 hairstyles women over 50 should never have. It was like... I was like, what is this? It was like the least empowering collection of videos I've ever seen. I couldn't believe it. So I went over to my Peter Monn channel, and I just drove around and talked about it because I just had some feelings about it. It reminded me of like a conversation I would have had with my mom back in the day. And then I went to Target and I did a haul. Which didn't get monetized, which it doesn't matter, it's whatever. But it kept on like, it wouldn't let me like upload it, and I couldn't figure out why. And it was because like, it said sharing for monetization. And I couldn't remember ever having seen that before. And I was like, what is this, sharing? So then I sat there and I like read it, and it was like, there was music in the background at Target. I was like, whatever. I mean, that's not why I'm doing this channel. I'm doing this channel for fun. But anyway, I don't do any of the channels for that. You know, I just have fun. I mean, it is whatever it is. I mean, I'm not going to say it's not nice to make money, because it is. But if one video isn't monetized, it's not going to break my life, you know. And but I couldn't figure it out. And the thing is about that is frustrating to me is that in some countries, you can't watch videos. This is the frustrating part. Well, first of all, that YouTube won't pick it up to ever recommend it, which on a channel that, like, it's so small, my Peter Does Stuff channel, that it doesn't really matter. But the other thing is that, like, there are certain channels then, or certain countries then, that won't allow you to play the video in that country because it has copywritten music in it. Oh, look at those lights right there. Those are so pretty. They're all like blue and... Anyway, I haven't driven this since Christmas. Well, since before Christmas. But I bought this stuff from Target when I did my haul. And it's this new sparkling water called Aha. Sarah told me she tried it. It was Sarah's birthday today. And so I got some. And this is strawberry cucumber. I have to tell you, I don't really care for it. I really, really like the LaCroix better. I like the flavor option of strawberry cucumber. It's interesting. Feels very fresh. But it tastes more like spa water, you know, which I don't mind. But there's like kind of a pizzazz to the LaCroix that I really, really like. That this does not have. So I don't think that I'll be repurchasing it again, but oh well. So I had fun making those videos. And then I got those videos up. Oh, Alex came home from brunch and he took a nap. He was going over to, so Sarah, whose birthday was today, and then they have another friend whose birthday was today. And so they went over to their other friend's house, and it was the four of them. And they just went over there for a little bit and had sushi. Alex and Sarah picked up sushi on the way, and then they exchanged gifts. I gave Sarah a candle. I gave her a candle for Christmas, too. And then they played some game for like a couple hours or an hour or something, and then just talked. They actually got home quite early. I couldn't believe it. And I laid down before that. Well, after I got everything uploaded that I wanted to get done, I did a load of wash. And I wanted to take a shower and try this like new hair product stuff that I had bought at Target tonight. And I wanted to try this new shampoo and conditioner. I don't know if I'm sold on it. Well, first of all, I need a haircut like nobody's business. The shampoo and the conditioner was okay. I liked it. It was like an all-in-one shampoo and conditioner though, and it's supposed to be like for thicker hair. Although I will say that my hair does kind of feel a little thicker tonight, which is kind of crazy because I don't think that it would work after, I mean, I have kind of thick hair anyway, you know? I don't think it would work after just one thing. The thing is that when I was younger, like I would get out of the shower and towel dry my hair, and my hair would literally like dry standing up because there was so much volume and body to it. But it doesn't do that anymore. Like my hair, like when I get out of the shower, it's like flat, you know, and then I have to like blow dry it and to get any kind of like volume or body going to it whatsoever. Which is interesting because my dad, and I can never remember like where you get your hair from, with like which parent or whatever. But my dad, his hair like stands straight up, and like he puts a little bit of product or something in it. I don't know what he uses though. My dad's not like real into all of that stuff. So I mean, he does his hair every morning, but he doesn't use hairspray. I don't know what he uses. My dad has literally worn like the same 2 or 3 colognes for like the last, God, probably 50 years of his life. And one of them is Jovan Musk. And every time I smell that, I swear to God, it smells just like my dad. And my stepmom buys him these like, the plastic bottles of it. I feel like I turned somewhere because this does not look familiar to me at all. And I'm like way out in the country, and I've just kept on going and going and going. And by now, I feel like I should have had to have turned around. But anyway, she buys them these like little, and they're like plastic bottles that like, of this Jovan Musk, and he really likes it. And then he has like the skin conditioner too. And it's weird because I do not like musky smells, but like on my dad, it just reminds me of my dad. Do you guys have like smells like that remind you of like a parent, you know? Michael Kors for women will always remind me of my mom. It's like spicy. And I knew somebody else that wore it, and so I bought it because I loved how it smelled on her, and I got it from my mom. And then like the same year or the year after, my mom bought me Michael Kors for men because she was like, I think everybody should have a signature scent. And I wore that, I swear to God, the majority of my life. And there's only one other person I ever came in contact with that wore it. It was a guy I sponsored actually. And it was so weird because I picked him up. I can't remember where we were going somewhere, and he had like a bag with him, and I like saw it on top of the bag. He had like the t-shirt, and then he had like the cologne on top of the bag. And I was like, I was taking him somewhere afterwards, and I was like, is that Michael Kors for men? Like, I can see this like it was yesterday. And he was like, yeah, how do you know that? And I was like, I've worn that cologne for like 20 years. He's like, get out of here. He's like, nobody else ever wears this besides me. And I was like, oh my God, that's so strange. The last bottle I bought it on, I have like taken some really weird route. I don't know where I'm at. Let me see what this says right here. Yeah, I went some weird way. I got off the interstate and turned down this one road that I usually go, but by now I'm usually at these gas stations that are right by the the exit to the interstate, but like I never got there. And none of this looks familiar to me. And I definitely don't know, where am I at? 20 minutes? I definitely don't think it takes me 20 minutes to get down this way. But anyway, the last time I bought a bottle of that, I bought it on like overstock.com because I couldn't find it anywhere. I used to get it at Perfumania, and the one in the outlet in Edinburgh, and they would always have like sales. That it would always be on sale, and so I would buy like 3 bottles when I was down there. And this town is called, that I'm passing, is called Shirley, and don't call me Shirley. But I bought a bottle of it. How did I turn? Like, I didn't even turn. Like, I didn't get off this road. This is the weirdest thing, you guys. Unless it just looks different to me, or I don't usually pay attention, and there's something I'm coming up on over here. But this is like the weirdest thing in the world. But anyway, yeah, I think I am coming out over here, maybe on this side. Maybe it's... Anyway, it got so watery over the time. I still have the same bottle. It's got like a little bit of it left. But whenever I put it on, like literally, like that house is set so far back in it's completely pitch dark in the woods, and there is like a what do you call it? I can't think of the word. Pickup truck parked next to it. It's all like so dark. That's like scary. Like on this farm out in the middle of nowhere, serial killers. Anyway, so yeah, like the last time I bought it, it like turned watery really quick, and it's been discontinued. I don't know why they discontinued it, unless maybe they just didn't sell a lot of it, because it was really hard to find anywhere. Why was I talking about that? I don't know. Oh, so anyway, I bought room spray today from Target too, and it's really good, but it doesn't last very long in the air. That really frustrates me when I buy like room spray, and it's like you spray it, and 5 minutes later you come back in the room and you can't smell it at all. It drives me nuts. The Capri Blue, which is like the candles that you can get from Anthropology, that lingers a little bit. But the bottle that I bought from Amazon, it leaks, which drives me nuts. The Scent of Christmas, I love. That Caldera, whichever the original one was that I bought, I loved the smell of that. But then I bought like 3 other ones, and I don't like them at all. They smell like kitchen cleaning products. So I bought 3 new ones at Target today, and I like them a lot. One is called Meadows, and it smells kind of like rose, and then the other one is called Zest, and it's really nice. Alex will like that one. And then the last one is called Rattan, like furniture, and it actually smells like a cedar chest. But I don't think like they linger very long in the room. Like I sprayed them, and I even sprayed them like on the pillowcases and like the shams. And like I came back in the room or walked on the other side of the room, and you couldn't even smell it. And I was like, what kind of room spray is like on like that? Like that's the weirdest thing, don't you think? I should read some comments while I'm sitting over here, shouldn't I? It's kind of bothering me. So I did a lot of laundry, then I made a frozen pizza, and I dipped it in this special sauce that I bought like, I don't know, like a year ago and reviewed on my review channel. And I watched Plathville. I almost got done with Plathville, but I still have probably 20 minutes of it left. Really frustrated me tonight watching that show. Those parents like have pushed their kids away completely. It makes me so sad. Okay, and the dad is just like, he acts like he doesn't even care. It's so sad. Their need to be right over having relationships with their kids is just, they have now pushed that one girl, who knows, she's not even on the show, Hosanna. She lives in Ohio. They live in, I think, Georgia. Cairo, Georgia? Yeah. And then Micah and Mariah, they've moved out because they have issues with their parents. Ethan moved out when he married Olivia, and they don't like Olivia, and they won't accept Olivia, and that's what the season finale is about. And then the mom started crying, and she's like, I can't believe it's come to this. I'm like, are you serious? Like, you've literally pushed your kids away. Like, you've pushed every single one of them away. And even while I was watching it, this one kid, Isaac, who's probably like 14 or something, like, he's the next one. You can tell it's just ready to bolt. And he looks at his mom and he goes, Mom, you're just making things worse. And it's like so sad, like, and then I think, why would you agree to, I mean, and I'm watching it, so I'm probably no better, but I'm like, why would you agree to have this on television, like, your family torn apart? And Ethan even says to his mom says something, well, I'm like, sorry, I'm sorry, I know that you've gone through a lot, and I'm sorry for that. And he goes, yeah, and you caused that. And she goes, well, I'm sorry. And he goes, for the cameras? Or he said, thanks for acknowledging that, for the cameras, or something like that. And I was like, damn, they've never said that before about the cameras on there. Okay. Oh my God, you guys, I didn't even post my vlog. What? Okay, well, here, let's post it right now. I'll get some comments from that one. I cannot believe I didn't. Let's see if anybody on Twitter said anything to me about not posting my vlog. This would be so funny. Because usually a couple of people say something about it. This comment. Nobody said anything to me about the vlog. I can't believe it. I'm like reading these comments. People send me stuff and I don't see. People send me stuff for drama videos, and half the time, like I'm like, you just saw it. That's the look on my face. Like, I don't even know what people are talking about half the time. I'm like, what is this? And it's so nice that they send it to me, but Linda said, we're going to be so lucky when you two move. Peter does stuff in vlogs on Florida beaches. Yeah, but do you guys remember when I would film on the beaches and it would be like so loud because of the wind? And I like, what is the deal with the camera? My camera is not good. I don't know why. Do I need to get a new vlog? Do you guys think I need to like upgrade my camera? Like, I love my camera, but like, I feel like the quality maybe is not that great. I need to get like some kind of microphone, so like for the wind, it's not bad. Okay, so BP said maybe her mother was the one that was killed by a serial killer and he still isn't caught yet, and that is why she was put in witness protection, because he had like a pattern of killing and she was in danger, and when she discovers that, she goes to the little town and tries to find the killer. Okay, very good. We're going to talk about my book idea in just a second, because I got an idea going here. Oh, Magic Me said she missed a bunch of videos because she was really sick. I am so sorry. Oh my God, look at this. Okay, so people, I got so many comments right away on this. Long Tan and Handsome said first. Yes, you are first. And then Chloe was second. She said, hey, Peter, hope everyone is doing okay, Chloe Fox. And then Nancy Ramville said, I was starting to worry. And then Charlotte Stevens said, Peter, with blue hearts and pink hearts. And then Marloka put a pink heart. And then Janice Blevin said, hello, hello, hello. First from Texas. I hope everyone has a great week. You too. I hope you do too. Okay, and then Beck said, finally getting back to your vlogs. I'm so far behind, I'm just gonna start here. Sorry, Peter, it's so hard to keep up with all your channels sometimes. Trust me, I know. Gabby said, is Broken Girls a true story? No, it's not a true story. But it feels like it when you're reading it. Kind of. Amber said, even in Arizona, I feel that seasonal blah every winter. I can't wait to move to somewhere where it snows. The sun is nice, but I want to experience changing seasons. I think it goes to show it's the mindset that is different and not always the environment. I agree with that. But, like, I think, like, if we had snow, like, at least it would feel like we were in the middle of winter. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it is 24 degrees outside, you guys. And just look. This is what Indiana in winter looks like. A gas station parking lot. The camera stopped. It was at the end of the 30 minutes. It's just blah. It's like so blah, you know? So anyway, Laura said yes to the reality TV show idea, or the reality TV review idea. Ela said peace out. P.S. Love the cozy idea. I don't know what that means. Morgan said, you are so calming to listen to. I am so grateful for you and your videos. Oh, thank you. Blue hearts from Savannah and Stephanie. Elise said, my really good friend's grandpa died this week. I don't know what kind of funeral they'll have. I'm so sorry to hear that. This week has been hard. I want to be around my sister to the point I can't oh. I know this is going to sound crazy, but like, I always wished my mom and my aunt would have gone to counseling together. I think to have like a person mediating that could have explained each other, like one person's perspective to the other, I think like it would have helped. Because I think the thing that was sad, and I don't have siblings, and so like whenever Alex and I have this conversation, he's like always like, but you don't understand because you don't have siblings, which I feel like I've had people tell me my entire life, which is, it's hard, you know, because I don't have siblings, so I don't know. But what I did witness from my mom and my aunt was this like super deep, unbelievable love that was like past protection. Like it was like an undying love, right? But then they could almost be like vicious towards each other. And I remember my aunt would say to me from time to time, she'd say, I love your mother, but if she wasn't my sister, she wouldn't be in my life. And she would say, you know, I love her, but like my mom and my aunt, without meaning to do it, had the ability to literally look at each other and take each other from like a 10 to a 1 like that. Do you know what I mean? Like just with words. And just in like catty ways that they had been like their entire life. And I don't think ever because they wanted to hurt each other, because I think they always loved each other, you know, deeply. But I think there's that sibling relationship and rivalry and all that kind of stuff that like, I guess I just don't get because I've never had siblings. I don't know. Issa 2 said, oh, make it an antique book. This is about the cozy. So I said in my video the other day that I was like gonna write a cozy mystery. Issa 2 said, oh, make it a antique book smuggling ring. I have no idea, but what you have now sounds amazing. Okay, so that is actually called Camino Island by John Grisham. That's what it's all about. Stephanie says, this is my friend from high school, she said, all good literature must have intriguing characters with individual charm and eccentricities. You need a basic story, but the bloom of the book comes from good, seedy, deep characters. You can do this, Peter. Sounds like a solid start. I did not realize that Stephanie was a college English professor, but now that I know, I feel much better that I can trust her opinion. Katja said, do the TV reviews on your review channel, not on the drama channel, because of the international people who follow you but don't have access to the same TV shows as you do. And to be honest, if I am sub to a channel and that channel has 50% vids I don't like, I will unsub. Do you know what's interesting to me? This is one thing I honestly have really, and I totally respect what you're saying, and a couple people have told me to put them on my review channel. My review channel is, I've done movies and TV shows over there. It doesn't really work real well, except for like the Bad Movie Mondays. So I don't know. I might even move the Bad Movie Mondays over to my drama channel. I don't know. We'll have to see. I need to think about some things. But what's interesting to me is that, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't be, I totally understand where you're coming from with this point of view. Well, I respect it, but I don't understand it, I guess is what I'm saying. Where people are like really fickle with their subscriptions on YouTube. I mean, it's free to subscribe. You can subscribe. I mean, literally, if I watch somebody's video, like 10 minutes of it, or 5 minutes of a 10-minute video, and I like it, I subscribe. Like, because first of all, I don't like go through my subscriptions like this anyway. And number one, and number two, like half the time, most of the people I'm subscribed to never show up in my subscriptions anyway because YouTube is so screwed up, right? So, like, I do not understand that. Like, I will get comments from people and they'll be like, yeah, I've been watching you for 6 months now, and I wasn't sure I wanted to subscribe or not, but because of this video, I've decided that I will subscribe. And I'm like, well, thank you, I appreciate that, right? But like 6 months of watching somebody and then you aren't sure if, like, I've never understood, like, people being, like, so, like, I don't know, maybe it's just that we don't have a lot that we can be, you know, guarded about anymore, so, like, maybe our subscriptions is one of it, but, like, I never, like, really understood that. But I've also, because I'm an addict, more is better to me, so, like, it doesn't matter, like, to me, it's, like, how many, this is why I subscribe to people, so it's different than I think. So maybe why I subscribe to people is different than why other people do. Like, you know, I think some people do because they want to support that person, or they want to continue to follow them. For me, it's more of a reminder. Like, if I subscribe to that person, then if I'm on that channel, because I have 6 different channels, so I subscribe to different people from different channels. Some people I subscribe to on all 6 channels to support them. Some people, like on my Booktube channel, it's mostly Booktube. On my review channel, it's mostly reviewers and things. So when I'm sitting there and I'm uploading a video and I'm looking for something to watch, what comes up, what's suggested, is mostly review videos from other reviewers that I follow on that channel. Does that make sense? But mostly for me, it's to remind me to, like, go and watch, because sometimes I forget to watch people, you know what I mean? I don't know, let me know what you guys feel about the whole subscription thing in the bottom. I think it's an interesting conversation. Stephanie, 2 people back to back, Micah and Stephanie. Micah said, I have no desire to have my own children, neither does my husband. We do, however, love our 4 dogs so much. It's 2021, this is normal, which I agree it is. I think a lot of people are choosing to not have kids. And then Linda said, I totally get what you said about your dogs. However, a child is so different and you don't feel like you can't just devote lots of time and money. You'll probably be happy without a child. Don't feel like you need a child to, quote, be whole. And then Stephanie said, thank you for talking about not having kids growing up in rural Midwest South Dakota. It's just expected of you to get married and have kids right away. My husband and I have been together almost 10 years and have made the decision to not have kids. I'm having, okay, then she goes in to talk about some very serious stuff. You know what's interesting is that most of my, I'm gonna go driving now. Most of my friends in high school, like, I'm like thinking of all of my friends in high school, and I honestly, my one friend, that was a twin. I had 2 friends that were twins in high school. She, was on tour and got pregnant when we were like 20, maybe 21. Well, it was when I was dating my first boyfriend, so it would have been, God, how old is her son now? I don't even know. So if I was 23, her son is probably, yeah, I bet he's 25, 26 now. So it was when I was 22 or 23, because I can remember there used to be this coffee shop downtown on Mass Ave called the Abbey, like the Abbey in California. And I met her there, and I remember my boyfriend at the time came for just a second of it. And her son was probably a year old at the time, 6 months old. She was visiting her family, and we went out and had coffee. And now he's probably 25 or something like that. She had a child. I know that my friend that watches this channel, I know she has kids. I think she has 2 kids. And then I think that's it. Like, most of my other friends, and I have one friend, she had twin daughters. But she wasn't one of my close friends. Like, my closest friends in high school chose not to have kids. Like, I mean, it was a conscious choice as they got older and they were adults. Like, and a lot of my friends from high school are still not like, one of my closest friends that lives in Portland, Oregon. I mean, I think she's been in like one relationship or two relationships like her entire like life. And, she is, I don't believe that she's in one now. I don't know. Honestly, we haven't talked in forever. But it's kind of how life happens, isn't it? Like, we used to talk like every other month. And then it went to like every 6 months. She lived in Bloomington, Indiana for a long time. She went to school at IU. And then she stayed down there for a relationship. And then she moved to Portland. She's an artist. She's a painter. She does like mural painting. And she worked in the Gus Van Sant movie, which I think is pretty cool. And she's real beatnik and different still to this day. But we would talk like every 6 months and just kind of catch up. And then time went on, and she and I had the same birthday, but a year apart. She's a year younger than me. And then we would call each other on our birthdays, and then that kind of stopped. And then this year, she found some story that I had written, and she messaged me she messaged me on Facebook, and she was like, "Do you want these? I'll send them to you." She found them like in her stuff at her mom's house or something, I guess. I don't know. I was like, "No, you can throw those out." And then I think it was like kind of like, "Yeah, actually send them to me." Because they were stories that I had written when I was in college or something. I don't know why I would have given them to her. Maybe that was my freshman year in college, because she was one of my good friends when I was a freshman in college. And she was like a senior in high school. She and I had been friends my junior and senior year, because when she was a sophomore and junior. We were both in an orchestra together. And she played clarinet. And I played the violin horribly. And yeah, she was one of my dearest friends. She was actually, I was talking about her today because she was on my drama channel, because she was who I made all these clothes for. And I always loved her spirit. My mom loved her so much. And then I took a short nap with the pups tonight. I feel like I'm trying to lose my voice. Like, my throat doesn't hurt and it's not itchy or anything, but I feel like I'm trying to lose my voice for some reason, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Two hearts that beat as one. I have like all of these books, you guys, that I really, really want to listen to. I mean, I have so many books. And I like want to finish. Well, I mean, the Janet De Leon series, the Misfortune series, it's not over yet. Like, she's coming out with her 19th book this year. But I want to get caught up to where they're at. And I have 3 books more. The book I'm listening to, and then 2 after that. So I'm definitely going to finish it this month. I mean, I would think maybe at February at the latest, but I think I'm going to try to finish them this month. And then I want to start the Janet Ivanovich, Stephanie Plum series. I think I could probably, if I like those, people are like, if you like the Misfortune series, you're going to love the Stephanie Plum series. And Mel, my book club partner, she loves the Janet Ivanovich books. She said somebody years ago got her started on it, I think. But she really, really likes them. And that'll be fun for us to talk about. So, I'm going to get into those. And if I like them, I think I could probably get caught up on that series too. I think there's like 26 books in the series or something. But like, I mean, that's 2 or 3 books a month, you know, to read. So, that's easy to do. to get it done by the end of the year. There's so many books. And then, like, I downloaded a bunch of, like, standalones tonight. I downloaded, actually, like, 4 young adult books today. And I was kind of, like, when I was listening to this guy's, like, recommendations, or not his recommendations, but his TBR, and then his wrap-up from the month before, I was like, I really miss, like, reading, like, really, really good young adults. And sometimes, like, young adult thrillers, if they're done well, they're done fantastically well. Like, fantastically well. And, like, where you literally can't put them down. I actually read this article the other day. I don't know if anybody, if you guys have read this book, what I'm about to tell you is going to change your life. But if you've read Benjamin Eilers-Sein's Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe, it's one of the most fantastic books ever. And it's about the friendship and coming out of one of the kids of these two Chicano kids in, like, South Texas in the 80s. I think it takes place in the 80s. It's beautifully written. Oh my God, he is one of the most prolific writers ever. I absolutely adore him. And he and I actually used to email each other back and forth. I couldn't believe it, because he wrote a book called Last Night I Sang to the Monster, which is about this 18-year-old kid that goes to this treatment program out in the middle of nowhere, and he has this roommate that's like this 60-year-old guy that's like a heroin addict, and it's the friendship between the two of them. And I mean, this book was so spot on about what treatment is like, or what addiction is like. And I just reached out to him one day, and I was like, I want to thank you for this book. This book, like, it's called Last Night I Spoke to the... If you're looking for a book about addiction, but a fiction book, Last Night I Sang to the Monster, it's beautiful. It's beautiful and hilarious and true and vulnerable and raw. And nothing like Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. Nothing like that at all. And, because if I remember, like, in that book, like, Ari is very gentle and kind, and Dante is, like, protective, and just a very interesting book. It's a lot about masculinity within the Latino community, too, and, I can remember reading it and asking, Alex and I had, like, a lot of questions about, you know, that, and I think he's an important writer because of discussions of that. Also, Adam Silvera discusses a lot of that in his books as well, which I think is important. So, but I was reading this article because I was like, where is he at? And it was like this article, because he teaches at, like, the University of Texas, Austin or something like that. He's like a professor. And he was talking about, like, it was like, I looked him up just to see, like, when his next book came out, because I knew that there was supposed to be a secret called There Will Be More Summers, or There Will Be something like that. And I was like, when does this book come out? But he retitled it something different. And so the book is supposed to come out. It doesn't have a release date yet, but it's supposed to come out in 2021 or early 2022 is what I think is what this article said. And he's been writing. He's got, like, 2 more books coming out. I was like, oh my God, I am so excited. The last book that I read of Benjamin Eilers-Sein's was called something about the extraordinary life. It was okay. It felt like a miss to me. Like, I was real upset because... Not real upset, but, like, I was just kind of like, because I was really excited about John Green's newest book, which was Turtles All the Way Down. I was not impressed. I did not like the book. It felt forced to me. It felt like he needed to have something out. All these people were like, oh yes, it's so great because it addresses this and addresses that. I'm like, I feel like it barely addresses those things, and this is just my opinion, but whatever. And I didn't feel like it was addressed in a healthy way whatsoever. Like, I talked about how Alice Oseman, she, like, really addresses mental health issues and her books, and, like, in an appropriate manner, and like, and her characters get help, and, you know, all this kind of stuff. John Green just kind of puts it out there and just, like, dangles it. I don't know. I used to love John Green. Don't ever meet your heroes. Have you heard them say that? You know, there have been a couple situations, and because John Green lives in Indianapolis, there have been a couple situations. Well, first of all, I watched John Green with his brother Hank Green, who, like, I love his books too. before I ever read his books with the Vlog Brothers. Hell, back in the day, I would call them the Vlog Brothers because I didn't even know what a vlog was, you know? I've talked about that on here before. I called it a vlog. I thought it was like a video blog, a vlog. And so I loved John Green. I looked up to him. And then Tyler Oakley pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed The Fault in Our Stars, and then later Paper Towns. I sat on the front porch that year, and that summer, and I read The Fault in Our Stars in 2 or 3 days, and I bawled my eyes out, and I just could not. This semi is literally passing me on this country road. Are you kidding me? Okay, here, I'm just gonna basically slow down to nothing because you have places to go. So, I'm going fast too, that's crazy. So, and I loved it. I love The Fault in Our Stars so much. Like, the movie is fantastic. It is a great movie. And it's a great movie adaptation. But the book is just, oh my God. The book is unbelievable. It's just absolutely unbelievable. And also the character of the writer in the book, I can't remember what his name is, but the one that lives in Amsterdam or wherever, like, he's like so... Like, he's has a stronger part, like, in the book. I can just sit there. I can see myself sitting there on the front porch in the summer. Like, I just literally was, like, bawling. I can remember coming inside and being like, oh, my God. And then I remember taking Alex to go see the movie. And he was, like, sobbing. And he was like, you did not tell me that this book or that this movie was going to do this. I was like, I told you. He was like, you didn't tell me it was, like, this bad. And I was not bad, like it wasn't good, but like this much of an emotional cry fest, right? And then I read Paper Towns. Now, personally, I loved Paper Towns. Everybody else loves Looking for Alaska. I did not love Looking for Alaska. I haven't watched it yet on Hulu. I know it's over there. I want to watch it. I didn't love it. It was okay. I actually liked An Abundance of Catherine's more. But I've read all of John Green's work. And, what's the one that he wrote with, why can't I think of his name? The gay writer. It's like John Smith is the book. Why can't I think of what it's called? That's actually a really good book. And Let It Snow. I really liked his part of Let It Snow, too. So I love John Green's writing. Turtles All the Way Down, I think, is his worst piece. Hank Green, I love his writing. So there have been a couple situations in Indianapolis where I ran into John Green. One was in Broad Ripple because that's where my office is, and I think he gets his hair cut there because one day he said something. I saw him say something somewhere on social media about getting his hair cut. It just happened to be like that, and then I saw him that day parked where there's this hair salon and stuff. And then I also saw him another time with a reporter. He was walking through Broad Ripple, and he was doing an interview. They were walking, and she had a pad of paper, and she was writing stuff down while he was talking. But you could tell it was an interview. Obviously, I didn't approach him either one of those times. I saw him in Whole Foods one time. He's really, really tall. And, I walked right into him and, stumbled, and I looked up at him, and I was like, oh, my God. I was like, John Green. And I said something I love your work or something like that. And he was like, yeah. And he just, walked off. And then Alex and I were at, he's a big writer, but let's just be for real, okay? It's not like he's Julia Roberts or Brad Pitt, and people are stopping him all the time, right? So anyway, Alex and I we were invited to this opening of this hotel called the Alexander Hotel downtown. And he was there too. And he was with a small group of people, 2 or 3 people. And Alex and I were standing there, and Alex was I was like, oh my God, there's John Green. And he was like, go up and introduce yourself to him and tell him that you write too. And I'm like, I'm not going up to John Green and telling him that I write. I'm not even a writer like that. And Alex is like, then just go up and introduce yourself and tell him that you like his work. He's like, do you want me to go up and introduce you to him? And I was like, no. And, it was a big event. There were a lot of people there, but it was really casual, And so I was like, F it, I'm gonna go up. And I can't remember what happened. I was like kind of by him or something like that, but he like saw me and I was like, and I did something like, and he like turned and like hit it. Like he was having no conversation. And I was like, okay, this is now like 2 or 3 times that I have like tried to introduce myself and just basically say that I like your work, you know? I just find him to be rather arrogant. And which is interesting because I actually talked to a couple people here, like teachers in town that know him, that he's like come in and talked to their classes and stuff like that, and they're like, oh my God, he's like fantastic, and he is like really good with students, and he's so nice, and you know, like he has no problem just like, you know, taking his time and whatever. So I don't know, maybe he's just socially awkward like I am, you know? But even as socially awkward as I am, and I'm very scared and nervous, you know, and when people come up to me and they're like, are you Peter Monn? Like they always ask me, like, are you Peter Monn? Which cracks me up. I don't know why that cracks me up. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh my God, I watch your videos. You know, people are always really nice about it. I'm like, oh, thank you. Like, you know, whatever. And like I said, I'm like, what channel do you watch? And I like, you know, I just think I don't know, especially somebody standing there looking at you in Whole Foods like an idiot, and they're like, I love your work, to just go, yeah, and walk away. Like, I don't know. So maybe that affects my love of his writing anymore. I don't know. It shouldn't, should it? Like, that's horrible, isn't it? I should just enjoy his writing anyway. I think a lot of writers are very recluse like that too, but let's just be for real. John Green and his brother also like have a, you know, like huge YouTube channel, and they started VidCon. I mean, it's not like they're not used to like people coming up to them, you know what I mean? Well, I don't know. When you have the ability to make somebody feel special like that, though, why wouldn't you? Like, I don't understand that. I really don't understand that, you know? Like, I try to go through my social media every day and answer, like, you know, a certain amount of, like, direct messages and, you know, emails and stuff. It's hard. It's, like, so hard to keep up with it. And I try to, like, at least read them. I feel bad reading them and then, like, leaving them unread. You know, I don't like to do that to people. But I try to go through and, like, read or respond to, like, a certain amount every single day. But it's hard, you know, and, like, and they kind of pile up, and then I feel bad, you know. Because now, like, this is what happens, like, on Twitter. If I put a fleet thing up, which that's so stupid, it's like that Instagram story, then it gets mixed into that. Because if somebody, like, hearts that, or they like that, or they respond to it, or whatever, it gets mixed in with my direct messages. And on Instagram, it's the same thing. Like, if somebody responds or likes one of my, like, Instagram stories, then it's like 50 responses, and then there's the message. It's like pushed down further and further and further, and I feel bad, you know, because I think it's nice when people reach out to me. It really means a lot to me. I didn't think this was gonna be my life, you know what I mean? Like, I really didn't. Like, this is all for me, like 99% chance, and I'm hoping on a prayer of YouTube, you know what I mean? Like, I feel so blessed that this is my life. I love this. I love interacting with people. I don't take it for granted for 1 second, you know. I hope that I get to do this for the rest of my life. You know, whether I have one channel or if I have 20 channels, you know. Like, I love this. And I love, you know, reading your comments and interacting with you guys. And I don't know, it just... You know, I have never had 100 friends. I never really wanted 100 friends, I guess. Maybe there was a point in my life where I thought, you know, when I first came out and I was going out to the gay bars and stuff like that a lot, like, what is that sound? And I felt like I was, you know, popular or whatever. The ability to be on the phone, like, all night long talking to people before I would go out or whatever was, like, kind of like, oh, and everybody was inviting me to their parties and stuff. That was cool, right? But I didn't grow up with that. I didn't get invited to birthday parties. I didn't get invited to people's houses. Maybe 3 to 4 people, you know, over the course of from elementary, kindergarten, all the way up till high school. And then in high school is a different story because I had my girlfriends and stuff like that. But then to flash forward 30 years, to have this completely very lonely childhood, right? I wish this car behind me would just pass me because it's driving me crazy. Thank you. And to come out of that 30 years later, where, you know, when you grow up lonely, you kind of get used to lonely a little bit. Like, you kind of get used to just, like, being alone. And like, the friends I have, I just feel so completely blessed for the quality of the friends that I have, you know, and by quality, I stopped, I was at the end, God, I didn't even know I talked that long. And by quality of friends, what I mean is that, like, they're salt of the earth people that are loyal, and they have my back, and they would do anything for me, and likewise to them. And, you know, if they need anything, I'm there for them. And I've developed really great friendships, and I'm so happy, and I feel so blessed for that, right? But to 30, you know, years later from when I graduated from high school, so 40 years later from when I would sit, you know, in class and nobody would talk to me. I mean, I can, like, in my mind's eye while I'm talking about this, I can see myself kind of standing on this thing on the recess, you know, like I can see myself in my little winter coat out there in the cold, you know, and people are swinging, and people are doing this, and people are doing that. And as I got older, you know, there were a month here or a week or two there where I had friends in class, you know, that would be nice to me for a little while, but I can see this image of me just standing there on the playground, like, lonely, like, just kind of like holding on to this, like, cold metal thing, and just wishing somebody would say, hi, you know, you want to be my friend? Like, I just wanted a friend so bad when I was a little kid, you know? Like, I don't cry today for what I went through. I cry because I still see that little kid. Like, he's still there, you know? Like, and he's still in pain. Like, he's still there, you know? No matter how hard I work on stuff, like, I still see him in my head. He was lonely. So, to 40 years later, you know, people have, for you guys to say just the nicest things to me, and thank me for the vlog, and just, you know, and the emails, and the messages, and the cameo requests, and people just, you know, wanting me to, that fact that anybody gives a rat's ass that I would want to say happy birthday to them, like, it just means so much, you guys. Like, and I know I say it on here every once in a while, but I kind of sometimes feel like, you know, pinch me, I feel like I'm, like, living in, like, a fantasy world that, like, at any time I'm gonna wake up and this isn't really my life. Like, it's crazy to me, and I don't want to forget, you know, what a magical ride it's been, because it has. Like, this has just been such a magical ride, and I love it, and I don't want to ever stop, you know, because I love every bit of it. That's why I love my new channel, my Peter Does Stuff channel. It's like I get to be a whole other, you know, show a whole other side of myself over there, because we, all of us, have 6 and 10 and 12 sides to ourselves, you know. But anyway, all right, you guys, I think I'm gonna get off here. So anyway, all I really wanted to say was I love you, and thank you for watching me, and I hope for each and every one of you out there, if you've ever felt alone or lonely, I hope someday that you find some people too, like I have, and that, oh, the battery's flashing, that means shut up. And trust them and allow them into your heart, because it does make a difference, you know. But I had to allow people to come in to my heart, and I'm so thankful that I did, you know. I'm so thankful that I pushed record on that very first video of my Booktube channel. But I'm gonna listen to my audiobook now, and my battery's about to die, so I just wanna say, I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here with me each and every night, and allowing me the opportunity to do something that I love from the bottom of my heart. I mean, you allow me to be able to do this, so I love you guys, and if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. Be kind to one another. Practice random, like I also always say, practice random acts of kindness, but don't tell anyone. And also, like I always say, but don't tell anyone. And most importantly, make sure that you reach out to somebody and let them know how much they mean to you. And I love you guys so much, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya!